To say that we've retained the Ashes in 11 days is something special. I think the record was 10. For them to do it in 11 days under some different adversity with injuries and some of their frontliners being out, question marks on the batting lineup. There's a lot of different things that have unfolded, but they've just come through and just dominated.
I'm Ian Hawkins, and this is Sport is Life. The purpose of sport, as I see it, is to see your vision become a reality. Find your voice, create strong connections, and learn to trust your body.
Steve, how you going?
Yeah, good, thanks, Hawk. And good to see you, mate. Looks like you're enjoying some Christmas downtime.
Absolutely, mate. I'm up at Port Macquarie. For those who aren't aware, that's mid-north coast, New South Wales, one of the great parts of the world. You're on holidays too?
Yeah, mate, I'm still local. As we said, I fly out on Christmas Day to get down the Boxing Day test, which is massive. Can't wait. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just taking a few rest days at home, mate.
Yeah, nice. And given we've tried to make this week in review, just having a few blokes sitting around a beer at the pub, we decided we're on holidays. We should actually have a beer, so we're doing that too.
Yep.
Sponsors can feel free to contact us to fill that void around the free beer too.
Yeah, I'd hate that news, wouldn't I?
Yes. Like you need any more encouragement. Well, wow. We joked about Australia 5-0 on the Ashes, but we're more than halfway there, 3-0. What a performance.
Yeah, huge performance. Just once again, littered with players that just dug in and had a dip. To say that we've retained the Ashes in 11 days is something special. I think the record was 10. For them to do it in 11 days under some different adversity with injuries and some of their frontliners being out, question marks on the batting lineup. There's a lot of different things that have unfolded, but they've just come through and just dominated. Some individual performances like Starc and Kerry, Head obviously have been really special, but then some unsung heroes as well that have just left their ego at the door. You see Nessa and Boland. You got a wicketkeeper coming up the stumps and keeping to you. Wasn't an ego in sight. It was just, this is my job. I'll get it done. Yeah. So couldn't be more impressed. It's pretty cool to see the Pommies just in disarray as well. That's the best part of the whole thing.
Especially seeing how lippy they were, particularly their fans coming out here. We've all heard the worst Australian team since 2011, best English team coming out here, but ultimately they failed the test. Like They've had moments, even in this test. I've got to be honest, I got a bit nervous when they were making a fist of it on day 5. Yeah. But then Jax goes bang, 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 and then, as Ricky Ponting said, just dopey. Like just a dopey shot. They're well on top. It's looking very easy, and he plays that shot. Yeah,
it's just not Test cricket, Hawk. We've spoken about it now for the last 3 weeks. They're just playing one-day cricket in whites with a red ball, and it's just not going to get the win. Some of our guys could be held to account for that as well at different times. There's been some shots that have been questionable, but we've just played more Test cricket than they have, and they just haven't been able to keep up with the grind mentally. You see them bat well for a little while. They dig in and fight hard, start to get a little bit of ascendancy, and then they just go and do something stupid. It's just the mental approach for them is nowhere near where it needs to be.
Oh, exactly. And some of the interviews in the aftermath, it's like some of them I'm thinking this must be an AI piss take, because it's like you can't really be having this conversation. Harry Brook talking about some of the dumb shots that he played. I literally thought, oh, this is supposed to be AI, because he's not talking that candidly about how bad the shots were. He said something like the shot in Perth. He goes, oh yeah, it was like a bouncer and I tried to drive it. And I'm like, no, but it was actual footage of his interview. So they're almost making fun of how they performed. It just seems crazy.
Yeah, they had big raps on him coming out here by memory at the start, the last 12 months and so. He's just been a failure when he's touched down. He just hasn't done it for them. You can't. You can say Root's batted well. He scored his 100 finally. and Stokes has dug in, but it's just not at the level you need to come to Australia and win an Ashes. I think this is still Root and Stokes still haven't won a Test match in Australia. So I don't know how they could look at themselves and say that Root's the greatest pommy cricketer of all time, and he hasn't won a Test match in Australia. That's where you make your name. The Ashes are everything. There's no use beating up on the minnows on a flat track at home. It's come to Australia and you earn your reputation. So, mate, I can't see how do you keep McCullough coaching the side after this. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jeffrey Boycott has been pretty vocal in his negative reviews. He did say, well, you got to have some balance here. Like, if you compare English cricket to where it was before McCullum got started, like it's way higher. They're playing a better brand of cricket, more positive. They talked about when Joe Root was captain and they won. I think they said he won 1 from 17 Test matches, and he said it wasn't even the winning or losing. It was just dour. They all seemed to not be enjoying themselves, whereas that's happening now. They seem to be much happier. So maybe we are being pretty brutal, but ultimately I think it comes down to us as Aussies is just how much they talked a big game before they got here, and just how disappointing they've been. Like Harry Brook and Joe Root, 1 and 2 in the world batsmen. It's a big step up. I think it's why, if you look at some of the batsmen who have come here, who we rate really highly, guys like VVS, Laxman, Tendulkar, Lara, even Michael Vaughan, he came here and he got runs. And we hold those guys. Oh, Alistair Cook, Strauss probably to a lesser degree, but we hold them in high regard because they come out here and not just got runs but dominated at times.
Yeah, 100%, mate. You're a rugby league player. You make your reputation at Origin, international football. You're a cricketer. The Ashes is where it's at. Right now, with respect to some of the minnow countries, they're all out there doing their best, and they've played more Test cricket than you and I. But Root to dominate at the Ashes level would have been huge on his list, and hasn't done it. Stokes is the same. Now, I'm not saying they're not fighting their ass off. I'm not saying that Stokes wouldn't take a slot in the Australian team because he's probably outperformed Kent Green, but that doesn't mean he's done enough to come out here and win a series. Mate, what? And then, the old saying, as soon as you start losing, you see the cracks. Some of the stories coming out of Noosa, the famous Noosa trip that everyone will talk about for the next 4 years for the next cycle. If that's true, when they didn't want to go for a run with him and they're on the grog every day, someone's got to be held accountable for that. This is the Ashes, for Christ's sake. Like, can't do it.
Yeah. No, crazy. And just to rub it in, Hazelwood hasn't played all 3 tests and won't play for the rest of the series. Lyon bowled 2 overs in Perth, didn't play in Brisbane, and really he did some damage in the second innings, but then wasn't available on the last day. I say Cummins, I meant Lyon. Cummins didn't play the first 2 tests and won't play the rest. So we've done it under streak, and Smith didn't play in the 3rd test too. You imagine he would have got a truckload on that pitch.
Yeah. If you could have looked back now and said to the pommy batsman, you won't get Hazelwood, Cummins will only play 1 of the first 3, Lyon will virtually only play 1 of the first 3, they would have been licking their lips. Can you imagine the way the bravado the pommy press would have had carrying on about that? And then to your point around Smith, so, and that's what I say to you at the start, mate, around the egos. They've just brought guys in, come in, for some of them 1 test, and the same looks like that's going to happen with this selection with the Melbourne test. Come in 1 test, do a job because you're playing for Australia at the Ashes, and do whatever you get asked to do and move on. And the Pommies just don't seem to have that mentality.
No, exactly. In fact, they've had no accountability. They've only made 1 change, I think, from the whole 3 matches, which seems crazy given the results. And we've just better go on.
No, I was going to ask you, do you know much about the spinner that they had big raps on that they've never played?
I don't, but like most leg spinners, they get compared to Warren, but that's always going to be unfavourably because no leg spinner has had that sort of control. Even McGill, who's he took 200 wickets and maybe even quicker to 200 wickets than Warren, perhaps. I couldn't tell you that exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was quicker. He was expensive and his control wasn't as good, and McGill's talked about that himself. Like, but the thing is, he's a wicket taker, and would he have bowled well in Adelaide? You'd have to imagine yes. Maybe probably leg spinner at Perth if you haven't got great control, maybe not. But there's plenty of bounce. I mean, who knows? Like surely you just roll the dice because Jack's as good as he's been with the bat. They just took to him. Yeah. He got 100%. One wicket. That was Aussie, a lazy cut shot when he was well set. And that's it. And actually, you talk about no egos. Like Aussie coming in after, he was injured, but I think probably dropped. If you look at the bigger picture, he's just come back in, slotted back at 4, and at different times he looked our best batsman early on in the piece, day one, because he just looked to be doing it easy.
Yeah, 100%. There was nothing from Aussie other than I'm working hard. If they need me, I'm ready, sort of thing, and got slotted in at the last minute and away he went. Just reading between the lines with a lot of their interviews, McCulloch's been interviewed a few times now, and so Stokes. I think they've just done everything they possibly can to get to this Ashes, right? They've picked players well in advance, and they just went in with that first test in Perth with this is the plan, this is the team that's going to do it, the plan. They lose the quick after Perth. Perth, they lose. They think they got this quick attack that's going to do it for them. And everything just seems to have unrolled on them, and they just haven't been able to catch a breath and really, reflect on the decisions that they've been making in selection. So, to go into Adelaide without a specialist spinner when we're expecting the heat and for it to break up the way it did. I don't know if you saw pictures of the pitch after the test had finished. She'd been a bit of wear and tear. So for them not to take a specialist spinner into there, I thought was a mistake. But I think Adelaide was another test, mate, where if they had played a little bit more hard-nosed test cricket, they may have got away with it. You could argue the case for that with Perth as well if it wasn't for Head doing what he did. So
yeah, absolutely. I think probably we underestimate how well we bowled though too. I think they said it in the commentary a couple of times. It was rare that we were bowling too short for long periods. It was rare that we were given too many free hits. They looked at the pitch maps, so where they were bowling often before a wicket, they showed the setup and how like Boland or Starc was landing on that handkerchief again and again. We played well. The batting again still has some issues, and I think it has for a while. But we're just doing enough. And Carey, behind the stumps, he was flawless. And talking to fielding. What about Marnus's 2 catches? Mark Waugh said it in commentary. I sort of flip between the commentaries, but Mark Waugh, he said, if you get one catch like that in your career, you're pretty happy. But to get one in the same test, get sort of 2 in the same test match, mate, what a great feeling. I know you've played extensive amounts of cricket over the years, but let me tell you, when you have one like that just sticks, it is a great feeling. And as the look on his face said, it's a bit of shock, really, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, the fielding's been phenomenal. I mean, we've probably still got Starc ahead with bat and ball, the way he's performed. But if Kerry doesn't get some reward and recognition on the back of what he's done these first 3 tests, there's a handful, not just 1 or 2, a handful of wickets that wouldn't have occurred if he had been keeping back at his normal spot. Keep up the way he has, he's put pressure on the batsmen when they're prone to. They don't want to be dealing with pressure, and he's just dialed it up where he has. And then, as I said, for the bowlers not to have the ego, they just come in and do their job. You can't be more impressed with the Australian Test cricket team right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we tried and keep this a bit light. We've been a bit serious for the first bit, but has there been a highlight for you? I look back. I know neither of us have actually been to the ground. You'll be having a highlight in a few days at Boxing Day Test. But for me, it was Adelaide with that late start, that 3:00 start. I went pretty much close to watching every single ball. For me, that was a highlight, just sitting on my fat ass on the couch and taking in, because it was enthralling cricket too.
Yeah. I love nothing more than seeing a team with the foot on the throat. So my highlight's been the way the Pommies have just scrambled after each test and just haven't been able to come up with answers, right? That's to see them squirm, all right, the old enemy, to see them squirm, start to push in on each other. The media back in England has started to turn, or already have turned. That's probably been my sick favourite part of the whole thing.
One of my best mates lives in London, and before the series, I think he was a bit worried, but he said yes, it's gone very quiet, shall we say, from his English cricket fans, and he's been enjoying every moment. And they'd be sick of hearing his voice, no doubt. All right, I think we've probably done the Ashes to death there. There was a highlight for me, again, one that I did manage to get in front of and watch the whole thing, and that was the BBL match where the Scorchers have scored 258, I think it was, and in the 20 overs, and Finn Allen, and in particular Cooper Connolly, I just love how he operates. They just smashed them all over the place, and even losing a couple of wickets late, they still managed to kick on and get a massive score. But then the heat, they just kept coming, and they somehow chased down that score. Again, they had a couple of little speed bumps towards the end, but mate, it must have been one hell of a flat deck.
Yeah, it had to be. They've broken all sorts of records to do what they've done. You got to think the Western Australians come out, scored that, taken a wicket on the first ball of the Heat innings.
A big wicket too.
Yeah, unbackable favourites from there. Wildermouth, I think his highest score before that night was 33. Not traditional opener. He's a bit of an all-rounder. 110 off 50 odd. And then we keep bringing him up, Matt Renshaw, who we thought would have been a little bit unlucky not to make the test side. For him to score 100 off 50 was pretty bloody cool. It was good watching as well, right? You're a cricket fan, no matter who you support in the Heat. In the Big Bash, it was good watching.
Yeah, and they were a bit pumped, the boys too. They were that excited. Renshaw in particular, he got a bit lucky. He got caught out in the no ball when he was only 30 odd, I think. Oh, it might not have even been that many, but he certainly took full toll. It was just so. I know the pitch was an absolute road, and maybe some of the bowling wasn't fantastic, but under that sort of pressure, you still got to get them. And they played some unbelievable shots. You know about Wildermouth? They were saying before the Heat innings, they're like, there's no sort of big hitters in that team. And the one big hitter they had, the guy at the top of the order who got out, whose name escapes me.
Munro.
Yeah, Munro. But, the rest, they were talking about the rest of them. Maybe they're not such big hitters, but those two hit the ball so cleanly and hit some big boundaries too.
Yeah, it was really good watching. I actually watched the back end of it again the next morning. While I love my cricket, that's extremely unusual. But just to see them pick up the ball as cleanly as what they were, I think to your point, the Heat have got a bit of a problem in the bowling ranks. They went for a million runs again last night, but the batting was just unbelievable. So to see some young guys, as you said, Conley, he's been in around that Australian white ball setup for a little while. So to see them score some runs and more importantly, it gets people in the gate. The Big Bash is all about trying to get new eyes on cricket. So you would think the Gabba on the back of that will be full for most of the rest of the season now.
Yeah, you would hope. Yeah, Cooper Connolly just continues to impress, doesn't he? Even when he came under bowl, he was the one person that seemed to be able to rein in the run rate. And his first over in particular, they just couldn't get him away. He played that one test match where they kind of picked him as a bowler in Sri Lanka, which was a bit of a weird one in itself. But he just continues to impress. I remember when him and Fraser McGirt were coming through, like for all money, you thought Fraser McGirt was going to be the guy who would kick on and play lots of white ball cricket and then potentially, such as his talent, be in the test team, but he's sort of fallen away. Whereas Connolly, like, he just keeps stepping up in big moments. I would have even been tempted to bowl him there at the death, given how well he bowled previously, but they went with the quicks, and it wasn't to be. But yeah, he's an exciting one for the future for Australia for sure. It was also good as a Sixers fan, given we'd lost the first two, to get over the Thunder. They just can't beat us. That was good to watch too.
There'll be plenty more of it over Christmas. It kicks in also up here in Brisbane with the crowds as soon as the school holidays are on. So I think the Gabba will be rocking for the next few weeks, and if they keep putting decks out and scoring runs like that, it'll be huge. Hopefully, we've seen a few of the old campaigners, the Marshes and the Maxwells, get off to a slower start. So hopefully they can get going as well for their teams, and it's a massive BBL season on the back of the Ashes, and get as many eyes on cricket as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. It is interesting. I was just thinking, we're watching that Scorchers Heat game. There's always these one-off performances from teams like the Heat and the Renegades and so on, but you don't generally see those big scores from the Scorchers, the Sixers, the Hurricanes, and yet they're the three teams that tend to always be up there when the whips are cracking in finals time. And it just goes to show that consistency is far more important, and be able to do that on a variety of different pitches. It seems to be what brings success in the BBL, rather than being able to do these one-off innings on the absolute road. So some of those teams, we saw the Heat not being able to get it done against the Thunder this week. They need to step up still. So there's not a great deal else for us to talk about. There's a little bit of footy talk. There was an article I saw, Zach Lomax. He's gone all in on Rugby 360. That's fallen through, and it sounds like he's going to have to take a massive pay cut to be playing rugby union. I hope he goes well, and he manages to step up into some more representative games, because I think that would be good to see. But it'd be interesting to see how things unfold for him, how it seems to have all gone astray recently. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
No, mate. We've had a chat about it. I wouldn't want to. If I was his manager, I wouldn't be expecting a Christmas card. Right, his managers cost him a lot of money. You know, there was talks with Pappenhausen being a few more things going on than just the change. He needed some time away and a bit of a refresh. But there's no doubt Lomax was all about heading straight to 360, and for him to have jumped without some form of guarantee or something more than just a hope and a dream. I think it's Riolo's his manager. I wouldn't be waiting by the letterbox.
Was it him or was it Shivkovsky?
Sorry, Shivkovsky. Sorry, you're right, mate.
He's now wiped his hands of the whole thing, and interesting. I did send you just on the footy. I did send you a quote from mental blank. The hooker.
Damien Cook.
From
Yes.
Cookie, saying we're only a player or two away from being a top four side. Now I sent that to you with genuinely, but I did have a bit of a chuckle. Like, you can't be serious about that. One or two players, come on, mate.
No, he's probably right. It just needs to be Wally Lewis, Andrew Johns, and Reg Gaznia
in their prime.
Yeah, correct, mate. Yeah. Look, I will say the old saying comes out every off season. They look really fit. I've seen some vision of them running up and down the hills, but I can say that about every club. There was the Cowboys released a few things about that, but while I think Cookie might be a little bit ahead of himself, I like the positivity. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. And lastly, before we wrap it up, we talked about the Jake Paul and AJ fight. Yeah. I didn't even bother having a look. I saw the result. I saw the knockout. But you watched the whole thing, even though you said you would not be sucked in again.
Yeah. I couldn't help myself.
Tell us how that all unfolded.
Yeah. Oh, look, Jake Paul would have been dizzy, and not because he got hit in the chin. He would have been dizzy because he ran around the circle all 6 rounds. So all he did was run and try to tackle Johnson to the ground. So I don't know what his plan was, other than to avoid getting knocked out, because that didn't work, right? He got hit in the chin, and some of the vision of what he looks like now after breaking his jaws, quite amusing. But if these guys really did get 90 million like they've been spoken about, then we're the fools, not them. I can tell you that much. But look, AJ, there's a bit of shit going around about AJ knocking him out earlier, but he's on a hide to nothing, right? If he gets one or clips one or looks like a fool early, then everyone's into him. If he takes 6 rounds to do it, but I think Paul showed that he's finally gone to someone that was too good for him, because he was never in it. There's talk about people thinking he got 1 or 2 of the early rounds. I must have been watching a different fight, mate. That never happened.
Yeah, and what's he going to do? Like, you knock back. We're going to pay you this much if you let our boy dance around for a few rounds and not get knocked down. And what are you going to do? Say no? Come on.
Yeah, correct, mate. That's ridiculous. So, look, good on them for doing it, I guess. I don't know. It's another kick in the guts to boxing. But, I mean, you want to talk about a kick in the guts to boxing. I just found out Nelson Asafa Solomona, if I've gotten that right. He's left rugby league to pursue a legitimate, boxing career, so we're being told. He's just announced his first opponent's Jeremy Lattimore. That's like fair dinkum. Come on, Hawk. Serious. So
he faced different competition in that barb brawl in Bali that you can see the footage on YouTube.
Correct. So you want to talk about someone going to go into the ring to get belted for money? I don't know how many dollars Jeremy Lattimore is going to get, but they just keep on kicking boxing in the ass, these lads.
Oh, absolutely. But again, if they're paying the right sort of money, you get in. I don't know if I would against the big fella. I saw him swinging all those little. It was like a Land of the Giants type thing. Maybe that's what they need. Get 5 little blokes in the ring with him, and he can swing.
That's where we're heading towards with boxing.
Oh, fantastic, mate. We'll have another crack at this next week. When are you back from Melbourne?
Yeah, so I'm going for the first 3 days. So I'll fly back home on the Monday. So can't wait. The old man and the young fella, the 3 of us are going down. So I'll fly back home Monday, and be ready to catch up and feed you all the Boxing Day test
inside info. Look forward to it, mate. You just make sure you keep those other 2 in control there, because I'm sure you'll be the responsible one of those 3.
Good luck.
Love it, mate. Have a great week. Have a great Christmas. And everyone else, have a great Christmas. Thank you for being with us, all of our massive amount of viewers. And actually, like I said to you before, we are a little bit of a climb at the moment, so that's good. And we appreciate all of you who tune in. Thanks, Steve.
Cheers, mate.
You've taken the time to listen to this whole episode. Now it's time to take action. Commit to one thing you've learned today and make it happen. And to avoid any obstructions, join the Sport is Life movement by clicking on the link in the show notes.